So I made a video about 3 weeks ago titled, "Is it too early for Nets fans to be worried about Ben Simmons?" If you haven't checked that video out, I'll put it in the card in the top right of this video. Just 3 weeks later, we are getting a report from Shams and Sam Amick about how the Nets are already frustrated with Ben Simmons, so they definitely think it's time to be worried about him. Let's look over that article together and talk about Ben Simmons, the Nets, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and what the Nets need to do moving forward. Last game, Ben Simmons scored a season-high 11 points. If you guys subscribe right now to my channel, you could help me score a season high in subs in one day. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. It is free after all. Okay, so back to the video now. Last night the Kings blew the Nets out 153-121, an embarrassing performance on national TV. It is no surprise that after a big loss that you see a Ben Simmons hit piece get released. Ben Simmons and the Nets experiment has been a disaster so far. Ben is averaging just 5.8 points a game, 6.1 rebounds, and 5.6 assists per game. You know, the rebounds and the assists, those numbers are fine, but the lack of aggression on offense is just killing this Nets team. Ben is now coming off the bench as the Nets are being cautious with him after he was injured with a back injury. But not only is he coming off the bench now, he's also playing a lot of backup center, and if you ask me, someone who watched Ben Simmons almost every game that he played as a Sixer, you don't want him playing the 5 for an extended amount of time. He can do it occasionally for sure, but despite how good he is defensively, he is not a good paint defender and he has trouble stopping bigger centers. His speed is one of his biggest strengths in being able to stay in front of guards, and by having him guard centers, you're taking that away from him. So, why are the Nets frustrated with Ben Simmons? Well, according to Shams and Sam, it started with Ben's availability being a major issue. Here's the quote. "The coaching staff and players have been concerned about his availability and level of play, with some questioning his passion for the game," those sources said, but even when he did play, Simmons' struggles in the first 9 games this season were part of the Nets' frustration as well. I'm never one to hate on someone for missing games due to injury, so I find it hard to criticize Ben too much, but when you force your way out of an organization and what many Sixers fan and media members believe that Ben used mental health and fake injuries as an excuse not to play, it is hard to side with that guy. But if Ben is actually hurt, I will give him the benefit of the doubt, even if he doesn't really deserve it. I also find this quote from Ben Simmons pretty interesting. It says, "There's only so much I can really do about perception," Simmons said. "You can't make people believe, you know. They weren't there when I was on the floor and couldn't walk because of his back. They weren't there when I was in the ambulance getting taken to a hospital after a February 22nd, 2020 game against Milwaukee. People weren't there, so they don't know. That was the first episode I had against Milwaukee. That was the original trigger of it, right before COVID, the start of my back issues. Yes, I do agree with Ben that you can't make people believe, but you have not made it easier for anyone trying to believe in you. I understand the Nets' frustrations. They thought they were trading for someone better than what he has been. But if I'm the Nets, I would preach patience publicly and try and find a trade partner behind the scenes. I believe Ben is mentally too damaged at this point to ever get back to the player that he once was. And when Ben has been playing, he hasn't been that healthy for the last 2 years, and back injuries especially are never a good sign for any athlete. But as frustrated as the Nets have been with Ben, they really need him to return to his all-star form because this franchise has been as chaotic as one could be just 1 month into a season. So far, Steve Nash has already been fired. We thought they were going to replace him with controversial coach Ime Udoka, but the Nets decided that they're going to go with Jacque Vaughn instead. And then you have the Joe Tsai and Kyrie Irving debacle. You also have Kevin Durant kind of calling out his teammates, which I'll get into a little more in this video. And despite all of that, the Nets have been a mess, but they have won 6 of their last 10 games under Coach Vaughn, mainly with Ben in and out of the lineup and coming off the bench when he's been playing. I honestly don't know what you do with Ben if you're the Nets. He's played his best with the ball in his hands, but you are winning with him coming off the bench as a point center. It's a tough situation to try and figure out, but winning will start to cure all the problems that the Nets currently have. One of the many reasons that the Nets have gotten off to a slow start is because they have been without Kyrie Irving, who is suspended indefinitely by the team over an anti-Semitic tweet. With no real updates so far, there have been reports and speculation that we may have seen Kyrie's last game in a Net uniform. I'm not going to go that far, but it is fair to start wondering when he will return. It is hard to win when you are missing a max salary contract from your lineup. This is when you wish Ben Simmons could step up and help carry the load with Kyrie out. And that is probably part of the reason why the Nets are so frustrated with Ben, because he hasn't been able to do so. Ben making max money and giving you worse numbers than a rookie or a 13th guy off the bench, and Kyrie costing you max money and not playing would frustrate any team and fan base. And speaking of Kyrie, let's switch to Ben's other teammate, Kevin Durant. Now you have KD coming out today and opening up about his trade request, his new coach, his teammate, and more. KD kinda threw his teammates under the bus in the statement from Bleacher Report. The quote is concerning to me. He said, "Look at our starting lineup. Edmund Sumner, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, Nick Claxton, and me. It's not disrespect, but what are you expecting from that group?" Durant asked the Bleacher Report. "You expect us to win because I'm out there? So if you're watching from that lens, you're expecting us to play well because number 7 is out there?" I mean, it kind of sounds like disrespect to me, if I'm being honest, but God bless these Net fans because following this team has to be mentally exhausting. How would you guys handle the Nets situation if you were in charge? Do you agree with the Nets' frustration of Ben? Would you give Ben some more time? Change the starting lineup? Keep him coming off the bench? I personally would have him run the second unit as a point guard and not a center, but that's only if he's aggressive, which is a big question mark with him. Behind the scenes, like I said earlier, I would desperately try to trade him away. Getting complementary pieces for KD and potentially Kyrie if he's back with the team would help out long term. Also, freeing a max contract slot would help the team moving forward as well. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed and lob me a sub. I will be making content all season long, and I'm sure that I'll be making videos on the Nets as they are one team that is constantly giving content-wise. Thank you for watching.